Oh, hey, it's you. I'm so glad that you're here. Because I'm glad you're here, but also, I want to tell you something. I want to tell you something about you. There is something that is deep inside you that is, 1, incorruptible. 2, it is something that is responsible for the qualities that allow you to exist. And 3, it's something that you don't understand. Today we're talking about how there's a level in your mind that is only accessible to God. What does that even mean? What are you talking about? There's a level in your mind. And what does that secret God-owned level do? Stay tuned. What's that? What's that you say? You want to talk more about levels? We didn't talk enough about levels in the previous shows. We got to talk about levels because levels are what make up your mind. Levels are what make up heaven. And if we're going to explain this innermost part, it does all the secret stuff for us. You got to know how it relates to the other parts. Something you have to know about levels is that levels are distinct, but they're connected to each other. Something that is multi-leveled can all be part still of one thing. Swedenborg talks about how this plays out on the grandest scale, which is called heaven. He says that there's 2 kinds of inflow from God. God sends out love, sends out wisdom, which these are the 2 essential elements, the things that make existence and life possible. And there's 2 ways in which those get to you. In heaven, how it happens is there is what is called direct inflow from God. So think of God like the sun. Swedenborg even says God appears as a sun in heaven. And this is like when the sun is shining right on you. You are feeling the light and the warmth. That is God reaching out directly. This is what I'm all about. Here you go. Here's everything good going right into you. But there's also indirect inflow because by nature, the people on the heavenly level of heaven are the most open to that inflow. So they receive depths of it that you don't if you haven't opened that deeply. So God actually, because God is only interested in everyone getting as much happiness as they possibly can have, people on the heavenly level will receive this extra from the divine outflow, but then God will go through them into the next heaven, into the spiritual heaven, and from them, through them, I should say, into the natural heaven. So both, it's a double whammy. It's a classic double whammy. You're getting the direct inflow of love and truth from God, and then you're also getting the inflow from the angelic level that's above you, giving you the parts that they can get that you're not open to directly. So this is a way that God can not only reach everyone, but unite them all so that the heavenly is giving something to the spiritual, which is giving something to the natural. Swedenborg says in Heaven and Hell 37, in this way, the Lord brings about a unity of the 3 heavens. And of course he does, because the divine intent is unity. God is all about, let's take different things and make them one. They are all linked together from the first to the last, so that nothing exists that is not connected. Anything that's not connected to the first by some intermediary does not endure, but disintegrates and becomes nothing. So everything's got to be connected, or else, it'll have a bit of a disintegration and become nothing problem. God doesn't want that to happen. He wants to perpetually keep everything in existence and keep everything connected, and that God is a master of connection, and particularly specializes in connecting things that are on various levels. So now, let's talk about the 2 major kinds of level. Come on, it's gonna be fun. Which one are you? Team continuous or team non-continuous? I remember high school, man, there was always like the straight shooting cool kids that were team continuous level, but it was me and the grunge rockers who were team non-continuous levels, and we would sit around and talk about okay, fine, nobody's interested in continuous and non-continuous levels, but you have to be, because this is the key to everything. Do you want to know how serious it is? Learning about the distinction between these kinds of levels? I'll let my friend Swedenborg tell you all about it. He's from Heaven and Hell 38. People who do not acquire a grasp of these levels, and I'm not trying to threaten you, but this is just, this is what he says, have no way of knowing how the heavens are arranged or the arrangement of our own deeper and more outward abilities, or the difference between the spiritual world and the natural world, or the difference between our spirit and our body. This also means they cannot understand what correspondences and images are, or what inflow is like. Basically, you're a big dum-dum. You don't know this stuff. We have to bleep that in the real thing. No, and it's not that hard. We're going to all understand it very soon here. But it's so important because all those things you just listed, spiritual world, natural world, correspondence, this is all the cool stuff. This is all the cool stuff that Swedenborg brings to the table, rests on this concept of the levels and how they're arranged. Okay, but luckily, it's really simple. There's two kinds, continuous and non-continuous. A continuous level is a level that exists like a ramp. You can have a little more of it, 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 and you can go from bottom to top. For example, let's say something fades from dark to light. Let's just say Stuart grabbed the iris on the camera that's filming right now and turned it so that the room started to look darker, and it goes in little increments, and it looks like it's a little darker, and a little darker, and a little darker, but it's all just along a continuum. Like it's just less and less light. Continuous levels exist all over the natural world. You could see that the density of water in the ocean, as you go down 20 feet, 30 feet, 40 feet, 100 feet, it just gets more and more dense until it's bone-crushingly dense. Same thing with the atmosphere. As you go up, it gets thinner and thinner and thinner. Also, you could do any activity. You could do it slowly. You could do it medium. You could do it quickly. That's it. That's all I'm talking about. That's a continuous level. That's not so bad. Non-continuous level. These are things where there is no rolling from one to another. These happen on distinctly different levels of existence. So that would be like the difference between this room or the physical ocean, a physical mountain, versus a room in the spiritual world, an ocean in the spiritual world, a mountain in the afterlife. You could never walk there from here. I don't care how good of a scuba suit you have on or a space suit, you can just never get there from here. They're different dimensions is probably a word we would use a lot from that. Another example of that is your physical body versus your spirit. Those two things are absolutely intertwined. According to Swedenborg, my ability to like fling my fingers around here, that comes from the spirit. It is the spirit that makes this matter live. It's the spirit that directs it. The conscious part of me is spiritual, but you could never, doesn't matter if you put your head right close to mine, we will never be able to enter each other's consciousness because that's spiritual. Another example of a non-continuous level is the difference between the purpose and motivation behind an activity versus the activity itself. Because you can say, oh man, I want pancakes. And you can really want them, and you can want them a lot, and you can want them a ton, as we do. But that want never turns into pancakes. Because there's something completely distinct from the desire, which is the action where you get out and you actually make them. Those are two non-continuous things. They go together, but one never turns into the other. That's it. That's the difference. Continuous, non-continuous. When we're talking about heaven, we are talking about non-continuous levels here. Each level of heaven is as distinct from the level below it as physical life is from the afterlife. You may get the impression when we talk about angels that they're kind of all in the same zone. Like you can get your telescope if you're an angel on the first level and say, hey, look at that, look way over there. Second heaven Joe is cutting his lawn. It is as distinct as the jump from the physical to the spiritual. So really, two angels on the first heaven, who to us, if we went up and saw them, these are amazing angels. These people are just incredible. This place they live is amazing. This is like heaven. To an angel in the first level of heaven, it's that same jump to the heaven above them. These angels are angels to these angels, just like these angels are angels to us. And so it is from the second to the third heaven. So there can be some communication, just like human beings, like Swedenborg, like many other people have experiences where they see angels. But overall, it's a very distinct jump from one to the other. Heaven is a non-continuous level set. And now that you know that, we can understand the big jump, which is the jump from heaven to this particular thing deep within you. That's the focus of our show. Swedenborg ends this section of Heaven and Hell, which is the book that we're reading through, by saying, mysteriously, lastly, let me disclose a particular secret. And listen, I'm not the one to tell you about this secret. We have Dr. Jonathan Rose here to go into what is this secret thing that Swedenborg is revealing to us.
Something that I love about Swedenborg's works is this sense of multi-leveledness. Sometimes life can feel like we're just pancaked here on this outer level. It's so great to me to hear about these deeper levels beyond what we can imagine, that go all the way up. And here Swedenborg's talking about some level that's beyond even the level of any angel to comprehend. It's that deepest part within us, that highest level. It's what angels have, what we have, and it's the part that keeps us alive. Swedenborg says elsewhere that this part is incorruptible, it's indestructible. Doesn't matter what we've done in the course of our lives, what has happened to us, this thing remains untainted, it remains pure. It's a place where the Lord can be present with every single individual. And I love the fact that even though Swedenborg spoke many languages, and even though he, some people say, had one of the highest IQs of all time, he can't actually think of a word for this. He just says something. It's something. It's some place where the Lord operates in us. And I like the fact as well that this is a center from which the Lord governs other parts. He can arrange the different parts of us. And you might think, well, this arranging happens quickly. But from what Swedenborg says elsewhere, I gather that this arranging actually happens over the course of our lives in this world and to eternity afterward. The Lord is constantly pulling us more and more into the form of heaven and making us more and more in that image and likeness. And this is the gateway through which the Lord does that work.
So there's this something in us, as Jonathan Rose mentions, it says a something within us. And knowing that there's that very deepest level reveals that our entire internal makeup is exactly like heaven. It's just a small version of this. This is the last piece that allows us to assert that. So if we were to replace these labels with this is what's going on macro, this is heaven, here's what's going on in you. Instead of the Lord at the center, we have this something, the Lord's gateway within us, this inmost level. Instead of the celestial heaven, there is our celestial level, the level of our mind in which that eminence from God registers. Instead of the middle heaven, there is our spiritual level, the part of us that is devoted to the pursuing wisdom. Instead of the first or outermost heaven, there's our moral level. This is what guides our civil and other interactions with human beings. Instead of the world of spirits, oh yeah, it goes even beyond heaven. There's our earthly level. This is more what you're concerned with day to day. And even the hells get a shout out here. On the large scale, there's hell, which is people who freely choose a life of selfishness. We got hells inside of us too. There are our selfish levels. Our ego is this. So this is the entirety of what's going on inside you. And you have to understand that these are non-continuous, say it with me, non-continuous levels. So even though they're stacked, what's going on here in the Lord's gateway is way far beyond what's going on here. So much so that even if you get all the way open to your celestial level, you still don't have the foggiest clue what's going on in here. This is another jump. It does not build to this. This is like some kind of magic. And that's true in the level of heaven. Doesn't matter how wise you get to be as an angel, doesn't matter how much you develop, you're never even going to get close to the divine itself, which is great, which means you can keep on improving and learning to love and growing forever and ever, because there's levels to this stuff. This thing in you, the thing we can't comprehend, we don't know what's going on in there, but we can know what it does for us. Swedenborg asserts that the activity that's going on in here within the Lord's gateway, let me get that nice and straight. What's the perks of having this? Well, one, it makes it so that our minds and character can be raised up toward the Lord. If we didn't have this, we would be stuck down here. You would be sense-centered, you would be self-focused. It is actually, we take it for granted that we can improve and think bigger thoughts and become better people. That is only because of this emanation that's affecting everything that's here. It also allows us to believe in God. It's a tricky thing to form a concept of a being who you're not seeing in front of you, but yet runs everything and is the source of everything. That's a pretty good trick to be able to grasp that. And that only happens, Swedenborg says, because of God's intimate connection with us here. Also, it gives us the benefit of being able to be moved by love for God and to see God. That you can say, I love that idea. Oh, there's God, and God wants to make everyone happy forever, and is actually saying that there's more happiness and love for others than there is for selfishness. That's an incredible thing that we can get that. And that happens because God is whispering that in our inmost ear there. Also, this is why we can receive intelligence and wisdom. The fact that you can think on the spiritual level or the moral level is only because of what's going on in here. It gives you the ability to talk rationally. Not that we always do talk rationally, but the fact that we can owes itself to the Lord's gateway. It is also why you can live forever. That's why you're immortal, is because of that connection to the divine, who is immortality itself. So I don't know how he does it, but we're glad that he does, because those are some serious perks. So what did we learn today? Levels. The difference between continuous levels, which is like going up or down a slide, and non-continuous levels, which is like a staircase, but the steps are in different dimensions. These two can interact, but they have no direct path from one to another. Those levels are the way that your mind is arranged, as we see here, which is the exact same way that heaven is arranged. And at the center of each of those things is God. In heaven is the Lord himself. In us, it is this special something that we learned about, which is the Lord's gateway within us. And it is something that is always going to be levels above our ability to fully understand, but we know it's good. We know it's good because it gives us everything that is good in life. It gives us the ability to become good people. It gives us the ability to think and learn and grow. It gives us the ability to reach out, love fellow human beings, love God, and because of that, uniting, live forever in the happiness of heaven. So God's doing good stuff in there. It's classified, not because he didn't want us to know, just because it's just above our level of understanding, but it's good stuff. And you can take that confidently with you wherever you go. Feeling like you're not having a very good day, like you're not that cool and nothing's going that right, just so you know, God himself is right there in the center of you. And that's always true. If you can think he's there, that's an indication that he's there and doing it. If you're existing, he's in there. So you're never alone. Deep down in there is God doing his God thing to bring us to happiness. Thanks for hanging out.